It's Christmas Eve and I stand amid the flickering lights and the scent of pine, a sense of dread mixing with the holiday cheer. This evening, like the ones before, should be filled with warmth and joy, but all I feel is the sting of impending humiliation. My mother-in-law, Nana Elena, stands proudly before the family, a mischievous sparkle in her eyes as she presents her thoughtful gift to me. An old, outdated kitchen appliance, a relic from her own past. The moment she unveils it, polite applause erupts around the table, but I feel my heart sink. As I force a smile, I can hear the muffled laughter of my children, their joy innocent and untainted by the tension in the air. They don't yet understand the undercurrent of rivalry that exists between their grandmother and me. I glance at Giovanni, who beams with delight as he admires his own lavish gift. A stunning watch from his mother. The disparity leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. This is not the first time I've found myself cornered, and somehow, I fear it won't be the last. You should be grateful, Francesca. I can almost hear her voice inside my head. The thinly veiled contempt in her gaze as she dons her motherly guise is a recurring theme in our relationship. I've learned to wear my smiles through gritted teeth, showcasing a facade of appreciation while inside I'm festering in humiliation. Each polite nod and forced laugh feels like another layer to the mountain of resentment building inside me. Giovanni remains blissfully oblivious, engrossed in praising his mother's exquisite taste. With every passing season, I find myself battling a silent war that nobody seems to acknowledge. The South Italian traditions that Nana Elena cherishes and enforces serve not to honor our family, but to oppress my role as a wife and mother. Historically, I've pushed my own needs aside, thinking it was part of my duty to appease both Giovanni and Nana Elena. It's a dance I've grown tired of. Yet here I am once more, a speck in their ancestral lineage, quietly suffering the consequences of their expectations. Deep down, beneath the layers of humiliation, I keep telling myself, I deserve respect in my own home, and one day, Giovanni will finally see the truth. But tonight, resolve battle against despair as I absorb the painful reality of my situation. Nana Elena's boisterous laughter fills the room, and I fight the urge to recoil at the sound of her glee emanating from my expense. Unbeknownst to her, I decide I will not endure this treatment any longer. This Christmas is a turning point. As the evening unfolds and the family engages in cheery banter, a simmering fire awakens within me, a burning desire to reclaim my sense of self and my place in this family. I can't let this moment define me anymore. It's time to take the reins and stand for the respect I've been craving for far too long. In the deep, echoing chamber of my heart, I make a vow. Tonight will mark the beginning of a change. As I look around the room, the delightful chaos of my children playing near the Christmas tree, I can't help but be jolted back into memories of countless dinners at Nana Elena's house. These gatherings, although meant to be filled with love and laughter, often turned into arenas where I had to navigate the treacherous waters of family dynamics. I recall a time, just last summer, when we had a simple barbecue in her backyard. The sun was shining, and the air was filled with the tantalizing aroma of grilled meat. Yet even amidst the casual chatter, I felt the invisible weight of expectation pressing down on me. Nana Elena had begun her usual routine of elevating Giovanni, while systematically diminishing my contributions. "Oh Giovanni, aren't you the best cook? Look at how you've mastered the grill," she exclaimed, her face lighting up with love as she dished out compliments. I stood there, plate in hand, my contribution to the meal, a carefully crafted pasta salad of my own creation, met with only polite grimaces. No praise for me, just her relentless validation of Giovanni. With each remark, I felt my shoulders sink a little lower, my self-esteem chipped away with every passing moment. I could clearly see the joy in Giovanni's face. His mother's approval was like a drug to him, and I was a mere bystander, yearning for validation that would never come. I thought of my own mother, who would tell me how proud she was of my ability to create, to nurture. I had always believed that I could carve out a place of my own in Giovanni's family, but each gathering proved otherwise. My heart ached as I remembered that moment, standing at the grill, feeling like a ghost in a place I was supposed to belong. Week after week turned into month after month, and I found myself catering to the whims of my in-laws, sacrificing my own dreams and desires to appease my husband and his dynamic. Furthermore, my children, who looked up to their grandmother, seemed captivated by her charm. And as their admiration grew, I couldn't help but feel the sting of inadequacy. It was exhausting watching them thrive in the warmth of her affection while I stood in the shadows. I remember another instance when Nana Elena discussed family traditions, speaking of how she had raised Giovanni. Her words dripped with nostalgia and superiority. In my day, we didn't spare the rod. Giovanni always knew who was in charge, she proclaimed to the nodding heads surrounding her. I fought back a wave of anger. My approach to parenting differed. I believed in loving guidance rather than strict discipline. Yet when I attempted to share my views, they were often met with condescension, dismissed as modern nonsense. Each family dinner turned into another reminder of how sidelined I was. The laughter at the table was a stark reminder that while they thrived, I slowly withered under the weight of Nana Elena's derision. My once vibrant self, full of passion and ambition, felt dulled by the constant barrage of disapproval and criticism. It felt as though I was trapped in an endless cycle. The energy needed to fight back sapped from me before I could even raise my voice. As the days turned into weeks, I started writing down the little things, quirky comments, dismissive glances, and mocking smiles. Each memory etched itself into my mind, a catalogue of moments that screamed for recognition. One day at dinner, just as I was about to share an amusing story from our Children's Day, Nana Elena interrupted with a grand tale from her own childhood. The room erupted in laughter, while my story faded into the background noise. With the realization that these weren't just isolated incidents, I began to see the larger picture. A web of control woven tightly by my mother-in-law, with Giovanni caught in the middle. The roots ran deep, entrenching his loyalties to a woman who spread her opinions like a blanket over our lives. Each encounter left me feeling smaller, like a puzzle piece placed in the wrong box. But tonight, watching the unimpressive wrapping paper of that ancient kitchen appliance, gifted to me with an air of condescension, replays the lingering sting of humiliation, igniting a determination within me. I feel anger and motivation forge a flame in my chest. This Christmas marks a turning point. I refuse to become a mere extension of Nana Elena's control, or a supporting actor in Giovanni's life. I need to reclaim my identity and voice, no longer lingering in the background, but stepping into the light of my worth. The winds of change are stirring. I can feel every ounce of injustice fueling my resolve. In my heart, I know that I deserve so much more. It's time for a reckoning, a confrontation that will ultimately redefine not only my place in this family, but also the dynamics that have long stifled me. It's time to stand tall and reclaim my space, no matter the consequences. A new chapter awaits, and I will write it myself. As the holiday festivities began to wind down, my heart raced with a mix of apprehension and resolve. I watched as laughter and chatter filled the air, wrapping around the room like a warm blanket. Yet, amidst it all, I felt a sense of urgency rising within me. I couldn't bear this silence any longer. It was time for me to speak up. I glanced across the room at Giovanni, comfortably chatting with family, and felt a flood of frustration. How could he not notice how his mother intimidated me? There she was, radiant in her ability to command attention, while I stood off to the side, invisible. Taking a deep breath, I approached him, battling the anxiety swirling in my stomach. "Giovanni," I said, my voice slightly shaky but determined. He turned toward me, surprise evident on his face. "Can we talk for a minute?" Shifting away from the festive noise, we moved toward a quieter corner of the room. "What's up?" he asked, a hint of confusion in his demeanor. I knew this would be difficult, but I had to address the growing resentment I felt every time we gathered with his family. Every time we're together, it feels like my contributions are dismissed. I began, feeling the weight of years of frustration spilling out. "Nana Elena continuously praises you while neglecting my efforts, as if I'm simply here to support you and not as an equal member of this family." Giovanni's expression shifted from confusion to concern. "I had no idea you felt that way." "She can be." He hesitated, perhaps realizing the depth of my struggle. "Yes. When I try to share my thoughts on parenting or my cooking, it's like I'm talking to a wall. Last holiday gathering, I made that pasta salad with care, yet all I heard were compliments for your grilling. I feel like I'm fading in the background." My voice quaked with emotion, but I pressed on, feeling empowered by my honesty. He struggled to find words, glancing back towards his mother, who stood nearby, wearing her trademark look of dominance. In that moment, I reassured myself that validation wouldn't come from her. It had to come from within us. Can you see that? I urged gently. I need you to stand by me, to recognize the ways your mother dismisses me. The thought of his mother's glare settled uneasily around us, and I felt my courage intensify. Before he could respond, Nana Elena appeared as if summoned by the lingering tension. Everything all right, my dear? She asked, peering curiously at us. I sensed the challenge in her tone as though she were prepared to deflect anything I said. Just a little chat, Giovanni replied, trying to downplay the situation. But I knew I had to confront her and firmly establish my voice. Nana, I stepped forward, locking eyes with her. I wanted to discuss something important. The air hung thick with tension. She seemed taken aback by my directness. This family means the world to me. But I want us to cultivate an environment where I am appreciated and respected. I don't want to be sidelined anymore. Her expression shifted from surprise to annoyance, and she dismissed my words casually. You're part of this family, dear. Don't be so dramatic. The sting of her condescension made my heart race, but instead of retreating, I found my footing. It's not dramatic to want to be valued, I countered. My voice grew steadier with each word. I deserve acknowledgement just like everyone else. A fleeting look of hesitation crossed her face as Giovanni watched, wrestling with an internal conflict that pitted his loyalty to his mother against his growing awareness of my hurt. This was the moment of truth. We need to give Francesca the respect she deserves, he finally blurted out, stepping closer to me. The room fell silent, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us. Would he stand with me or cave to his mother's expectations? But as I turned to look at him, a flicker of determination sparked in his eyes. I breathed in the tension. It felt almost empowering. This confrontation marked a turning point. I had shed the layers of silence that had kept me down for far too long. I was ready for whatever consequences awaited. Knowing I had finally spoken my truth, the foundation of family dynamics had been shaken. And with it came a sense of hope that perhaps things could change for the better. I was here to stay, and I would not walk away until I was seen. The aftermath of my confrontation echoed through the room like ripples in a pond. I could feel the tension thickening, electricity charged in the air as Giovanni and his mother exchanged glances. A part of me felt exhilarated. My heart raced from finally asserting myself. But another part of me was weighed down by dread. Would this be the beginning of a war? Or could it lead to understanding? Nana Elena's expression morphed into one of indignation, and her sharp intake of breath made my stomach twist. How dare you speak to me in that tone, Francesca? She snapped, every syllable drenched in outrage. I have given you a place in this family, and this is how you repay me. As the words dripped like venom, I felt my resolve strengthen. It's not about repaying you. It's about respect, something I think we can both agree is warranted. I replied, surprising myself with how calm I sounded despite the tempest raging inside me. Giovanni stepped forward, glancing at me briefly before redirecting his attention to his mother. Mom, what Francesca is saying is important. You might not realize how dismissive your comments can be. This isn't just between you two anymore. It's affecting our family. I could see the muscles in Nana Elena's jaw tighten, and I braced for the storm to come. You are choosing her over your family? She exclaimed, her voice trembling with outrage. After all I've done for you? I raised you. I molded you into the man you are. And this is how you repay me. Every word was a slap, and the indignation bubbled within me. Giovanni was visibly agitated, his brow furrowing deeply as he struggled to defend me against his mother's unrelenting barrage. No, this isn't about repaying anyone. We have a family, and we need to communicate, he urged, his voice rising. At that moment, it felt as though the walls were closing in around us, the air thick with unspoken words. I could feel every eye in the room zeroing in on our confrontation like vultures circling a carcass. It unnerved me, but I realized that I had opened a Pandora's box, and there was no closing it now. Communicate? You're defending her? Nana's voice dripped with disbelief as she spun toward me. You think you deserve some kind of special treatment? You're nothing but an outsider trying to reshape our family. Her words sliced through me, igniting a wave of self-doubt and hurt. Had I overstepped? Taking a deep, steadying breath, I replied, my voice laced with conviction. This isn't about trying to change your family. It's about feeling included and valued. I don't want to be an outsider. I want to contribute in a way that's meaningful. The room quieted momentarily, everyone absorbing my words. But Nana Elena wasn't finished. I've done everything for this family. I've sacrificed for you. And you dare question my place? She boomed, her voice steeped in an imposing authority. Sacrifices don't give you permission to belittle me. I retorted, and for the first time in so long, my voice came out unrestrained, a force unto itself. I felt the rush of blood to my head, but I pressed on. I respect your role in Giovanni's life, but I won't allow you to undermine my place in your family. The words hung in the air, charged with raw emotion. I had never spoken so openly before. Giovanni looked at me, a gratitude shining in his eyes, slowly beginning to understand the depths of my struggle. But there was still a hard truth. The mountain I had chosen to climb was steep. Giovanni's mother continued her attack, her words barreling at me like an avalanche. How ungrateful. I welcome you into my home, and now you're demanding respect? You think you know better? The defiance in her voice was palpable, pushing me back into the haze of insecurity. Just when it felt as though the confrontation was reaching a fever pitch, Giovanni's voice broke through the tension. Mom, enough! You don't get to dictate how Francesca feels. She deserves our respect, and you need to understand how your words impact her. I couldn't believe my ears. This was my husband finally standing with me, confronting the heart of the issue. I felt a surge of gratitude for him, a blend of relief and newfound hope. He finally saw the relentless cycle of shadowing I'd been trapped in. But Nana wasn't finished yet. How could you turn against your family like this? She raged, her resolve undeterred. You owe me everything. I gave you a life, a foundation. With a quiet resolve, Giovanni met her eyes unflinching. And it's because of you that I understand the need for growth, for change. What you've done does not justify treating Francesca poorly. Each word landed like heavy stones, and I could see the cracks forming in the facade of Nana's control. As the intensity of their exchange escalated, I felt a mix of anger and triumph coursing through me. My emotions were a tumult. I felt like a prisoner who had just taken the first steps toward freedom. I had finally broken the silence, and now the turbulent floodgates were wide open. Feeling empowered, I added, this family dynamic needs to change. It should represent love and support, not criticism and dominance. I wasn't about to back down. There was something liberating about rejecting the outdated norms that had burdened me for so long. Nana Elena took a step back, visibly shaken by our united front, but she quickly masked her discomfort with a sneer. This is a disgrace. You're both forsaking our traditions. I won't be disrespected in my own home. The fire in her voice flickered, but her determination to dominate remained. Is wanting respect so disgraceful? I challenged, my heart pounding in my chest. I was riding the line between fury and satisfaction, ready to face whatever was to come. Giovanni reached for my hand, and I felt the strength radiating from his grasp. We were defying a long-held belief, a culture of silence that had cast shadows on our lives. It was time to reclaim our family's narrative. In that moment I understood. The tide could change, but it meant facing the storm head-on. This wasn't just about me. It was about setting a precedent for our children, showing them that respect and love should be unconditional. But as I stood rooted in that chaotic living room, with the weight of the world on my shoulders, I realized the conflict was only escalating. The challenge ahead loomed large, threatening my newfound faith and driving me closer to finding my true voice and place within this complicated family. While the confrontation felt like the beginning of something new, it also hinted at the tumult to come. We were just getting started, and I could sense that Nana Elena wouldn't take our rebellion lightly. She would retaliate, but for the first time, I was ready to fight back, not just for myself, but for all of us. The days that followed my confrontation with Nana Elena were heavy with tension, each moment stretching out like a tightrope over a dark abyss. Giovanni stood firmly by my side, his support illuminating my path as we navigated this turbulent family dynamic, but underneath the facade of unity was a growing storm. One that I knew Nana was not going to let go of easily. I clung to the hope that my voice was finally being recognized, as Giovanni encouraged open communication, yet unease gnawed at me like an uninvited guest. One evening, while I was preparing dinner, I stumbled upon a crumpled envelope wedged beneath a cutting board on the kitchen counter. Curiosity sparked within me, and I hesitated only a moment before pulling it out. The envelope was anonymous, and my heart raced as I opened it, a sense of dread washing over me. Inside were printed emails from Rosetta, Nana's closest confidant. I could feel my stomach twist in anticipation. As I began to read through the pages, my heart sank deeper with each line. These emails were filled with disparaging remarks about me, my parenting style, my cooking, even my mere existence in this family. They referred to me as an inadequate daughter-in-law, who needed to be fixed, a project in need of improvement. My fingers trembled as I absorbed the bitterness within their words, the betrayal piercing me sharper than anything I had encountered thus far. As clarity settled in, a potent mix of anger and indignation surged through me. How could they conspire together against me? Did Giovanni know about this? Was he unwittingly aiding their plans? Realizing that I had exposed a hidden narrative, I felt a swell of determination. I tucked the envelope tightly into my pocket, knowing that this was just the starting point. In the days that followed, I kept my guard up. I observed the interactions between Nana and Giovanni, scrutinizing their exchanges for signs of conspiratorial dialogues. I noted how Nana employed a facade of sweetness laced with condescension, always managing to slip in dismissive comments disguised as familial advice. During a family gathering, another one of those elaborate dinners filled with traditional dishes that succeeded in reducing me to an outsider, I felt the familiar prick of Nana's scrutinizing gaze. "Isn't it amusing, Giovanni?" she chirped, her tone slightly mocking. "How Francesca always thinks she can take on the kitchen like a real Italian." As those words hung in the air like a bad perfume, the room fell silent, tension thickening as everyone absorbed the weight of her snark. "Mom, is that really necessary?" Giovanni interjected, irritation seeping through his tone. The protective instinct in him ignited a flicker of hope within me. But Nana merely smiled, an icy glint in her eyes. "Oh, I just think it's amusing," she replied, her voice dripping with saccharine ridicule. I felt the sting of humiliation wash over me, but I fought to maintain my composure as Giovanni defended me. It became increasingly evident that Nana had perfected the art of silencing dissent through calculated manipulation, driving wedges between us. An ominous feeling settled in my chest, and I realized the time had come to confront this scheme, but not without knowing that I needed proof that Giovanni could not ignore. If I could expose their antics, I might stand a chance at redefining the narrative that had kept me on the fringes. In the lead-up to the next family gathering, I mentally prepared myself. This was a pivotal moment. I made a choice, to confront Nana, armed with evidence, and to reclaim my place within this family. The day arrived filled with festivities, laughter, and the usual family chaos. I felt the energy in the air shift, pulsing with anticipation. I gripped the envelope tightly in my hand, feeling its rough edges as a reminder of the betrayal it contained. In a rare moment of quiet, I pulled Giovanni aside, needing to discuss what I had uncovered. "Can we talk?" I asked, urgency edging my voice. Giovanni nodded but wore a puzzled expression, sensing that something weighed heavily upon me. I slowly handed him the envelope. "Please read this," I implored as he took the papers into his hands, confusion transforming into shock as he scanned the pages. His brow furrowed deeper with every email he read. "This is unbelievable," he murmured, disbelief evident in his tone. "I had no idea. It explains so much about how they treat me." I pressed, my heart pounding with a blend of relief and anxiety. The dismissive comments, the way they've always sidelined me. This scheme runs deeper than I feared. Giovanni's gaze flickered with anger and realization. I thought these tensions were just cultural differences. "But this changes everything," he said, his voice steadying as he processed the onslaught of information. "We need to address this," he finally declared, determination threading through each word. The tension in my chest began to thaw as hope ignited. Giovanni was ready to stand up, not just for me, but for us, and to confront the familial whispers that had plagued our marriage. As we moved back into the bustling gathering, I felt Nana's watchful gaze following us, awareness prickling at the back of my neck. Giovanni took a deep breath, preparing to shine a light on the darkness that had lingered for too long. "Mom," he began, his voice ringing out over the hum of conversation. "We need to talk." Silence fell across the room, anticipation thickening in the air. I could feel all the eyes on us, some curiously baffled, others averted, and few locked in pity. My heart raced wildly as I prepared to stand beside him, ready to face whatever came next. This was the moment we could rewrite the narrative that had confined me. I could finally stand in my power and claim my spot within this family. Nana's expression shifted from confusion to irritation, like a damning storm poised to break loose. I straightened my shoulders, readying myself for this confrontation. We were exposing the scheme that had shackled me for too long. I took a deep breath, knowing that together, we would confront the truth and fight for our right to belong. As the room fell into an unexpected silence, the air was electrified with tension. I could see Giovanni steeling himself, his brow furrowing with determination as he prepared to confront the poison that Nana Elena had been slowly injecting into our family for years. Her mask of calm was slipping, and in that fleeting moment, I could sense the ground shifting beneath us. "Mom, I need to bring something to light. The treatment that Francesca has endured in this family," he began, his voice steady but carrying the urgency of a storm gathering strength. The initial disbelief flickering across Nana's face quickly transformed into a scowl as family members leaned in closer, eager to witness the unfolding drama. The air was heavy with anticipation as Nana responded, her tone sharp and defensive. "What are you talking about, Giovanni? You're not making any sense." The thickness of her denial echoed in the tension, like an unwanted coat suffocating any warmth in the room. Giovanni took a deep breath, his eyes narrowing in resolve. He pulled exposed printed emails from his pocket, the tangible evidence of deception that I had found. I could feel my heart pound in my chest as he waved them in front of everyone, shaking slightly with a mixture of anger and determination. "These are not just words, Mom. These are the whispers of betrayal and contempt you have allowed to fester. You and Rosetta have plotted against Francesca, undermining her with every chance you've had." Nana's expression shifted from disbelief to indignation, her face flushing as she deflected. "Those are just words. You can't take everything at face value. It's child's play, Giovanni. Child's play." The words stung more than I thought they would. I could feel the burn of humiliation creeping up my neck, but as I looked at Giovanni, something within me ignited. There was a fierce juxtaposition between her dismissive attitude and the truth desperately trying to break free. It was time for us both to reclaim our narrative. Giovanni took another step, not backing down. "This isn't child's play, Mom. This is about real hurt. Francesca is not a project to be managed. She's my wife, and it's time you treated her with the respect she deserves." The room fell into a hushed silence as the weight of his words sank in. I could feel eyes turn towards me, pity, support, shock, and I realized this moment was more about exposing the manipulative facade than just defending myself. It was a pivotal leap toward reclaiming my place in this family. I channeled that energy, the bittersweet mix of outrage and hope surging within me. I spoke, my voice shaking yet assertive. "Nana, I have always tried to embrace your culture, your traditions, and your family. But what hurt me was the constant undercurrent of negativity from you and Rosetta. I feel like an outsider, not a part of your world, merely a guest in my own home. I refuse to be cast aside as some project that needs fixing. I am here to stay, and it's time we move forward and accept each other as we are." Nana flinched slightly, and I could see the wheels turning in her head. Her veneer of control was fraying at the edges, and I pressed on, empowered by the solidarity I felt with Giovanni. "You've built a world where judgments cloud love, where loyalty is conditional. It's exhausting trying to navigate a space filled with backhanded compliments and veiled criticisms. I won't stand by and let that continue." Her face, once filled with hostility, showed hints of vulnerability as she struggled to sift through the ever-brewing turmoil. How could you betray your own mother? She spat, her voice trembling with indignation. This isn't betrayal, Mom. This is honesty, Giovanni retorted, the warmth in his voice transforming into a fierce protective shield. I am trying to help you see that you are losing your family because of your insecurity. Do you realize how your manipulation has affected Francesca? You've made it impossible for her to feel welcome here. With each word he spoke, I felt layers of pain slowly lifting. A flicker of recognition passed over Nana's face, replaced quickly by defensiveness. But Giovanni, undeterred, continued his impassioned plea. I've watched you treat her like a child in need of discipline rather than a partner I love. It needs to change. His heart was on his sleeve, unguarded. And upon seeing that, I felt a tide of hope washing over me. Unlike before, when I would shrink in the face of confrontation, I could finally breathe, unafraid to claim my position. Nana's authority had begun to crumble, and for the first time, I could genuinely consider the potential of a family reborn. Resolutely she faltered. I care for what's best for you both, she murmured, her voice almost pleading, catching the attention of spectators. Why can't you see that? Because what's best isn't cloaked in veils of condescension. Giovanni shouted, his resolve surging. What's best is mutual respect, love and support. You have only pushed us away. The tension in the room shifted. Whispers darted back and forth like swarming bees. Family members exchanged glances. It was a moment heavy with implication. I met eyes with a couple of relatives, sensing they finally understood the conflict. Giovanni, I love you, but... Nana started, a slight shake in her voice. But nothing. It's about time we grow beyond these outdated notions of what a family should be. Giovanni interjected fiercely, his conviction echoing in the hearts of our family. Then, catching my gaze, he added, we have to put an end to this cycle of blame and shame. We're not just two people fighting back. We're a family demanding change. There, under the mounting tension and amid the flickering shadows of our disputes, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, urging me onward. Nana's defiance waned, and in its place, I thought I discerned a glimmer of recognition and perhaps remorse. Realizing this was the moment we could start building anew. I confidently stepped forward, ready to join Giovanni as equal partners igniting the flames of reconciliation. Whatever storms remained, I knew we would face them together, lighting up the path toward healing. My identity was my own to define, no longer tied to the judgments of the past, ready to navigate the complexities of family and love anew. As the tension began to dissipate, I could feel the atmosphere shifting dramatically. Giovanni and I stood side by side, hearts racing but filled with a warm sense of solidarity. Nana Elena, visibly shaken, seemed to grapple with a realization. Perhaps she understood that the power dynamics in our family were finally shifting, favoring a more open and honest dialogue. After a series of heavy breaths, her shoulders relaxed slightly, and her tone softened. I never meant to hurt Francesca. I only wanted what was best for this family, she finally admitted, almost as if searching for an explanation for her past behavior. At that moment it hit me. This was an opening. Giovanni and I exchanged encouraging glances, recognizing that we were ready to explore new dynamics together. Mom, we know that, but good intentions don't excuse harmful actions. The way you approached things pushed me away rather than bringing us closer together. Giovanni replied calmly but firmly, grounding the conversation in mutual respect. I was amazed at how the air felt lighter. The heaviness of secrets and misunderstandings was lifting. Nana's tendency to manipulate had stemmed from her own fears. She had been trying to control the narrative, and now it was time to rewrite it. I think we need to communicate better, I suggested, gathering my courage. No more veiled threats or passive comments. Let's establish a foundation of openness where we can discuss our feelings honestly, without judgment. I want to be part of this family, but it has to be a safe space for all of us. I want to understand you too, and your fears and aspirations. Nana's face reflected a mix of emotions as she considered my words. I didn't realize how much I'd been holding on. I thought if I tried to control things, I could keep us together. But I see now that I've only driven a wedge between us. I want to build a bridge back to you, Francesca. A sense of relief washed over me. as tension began to transform into possibilities for reconciliation. It appeared that change was possible even for someone like Nana, who had long been entrenched in her beliefs. As the conversation unfolded, Giovanni and I shared our experiences, my struggles with feeling inadequate in her eyes and his battle between loyalty to his mother and loyalty to me. Each story we shared helped break down the defenses, and soon, Nana began to share her own struggles. The isolation she felt as she aged and the fear of losing her family. We were progressing through a dialogue filled with raw honesty. With each exchange, the past's burdens lessened. I discovered that real conversations could replace judgment. As we spoke, we expressed our hopes for a family united by love rather than conditional loyalty. Towards the end, I felt a sense of coherence where chaos had once lived. This wasn't about simply forgiving the past. It was about recognizing the love and compassion that had always been there, but hidden beneath layers of misunderstanding. The road ahead would be filled with challenges. Old habits would be hard to break, and scars would take time to heal. But we laid a strong foundation in that room. I looked at Giovanni and Nana, filled with hope and the knowledge that we were all willing to evolve. Navigating through the complexities of family wouldn't be easy, but I felt a profound sense of potential in creating a new future together. A future that welcomed honesty and acceptance. Each moment of vulnerability and frankness represented a new thread woven into the fabric of our family. As we opened our hearts to one another, we were not just repairing relationships. We were forging a legacy of love and connection. Finally, I understood that we could craft a narrative where each of us felt valued and understood. With that awareness, I knew we were set on a journey toward rebuilding not just our family, but an enduring bond strengthened through honesty.